It's Hanoi Rocks right here on your classic metal show from the 12 Shots on the Rocks release, featuring, of course,
Michael Monroe.
Michael Monroe.
Yeah.
Just slipped my mind there all of a sudden.
Couldn't remember that ID from 3 minutes earlier.
Well, yeah, that's true. I was just distracted, I think. So.
Right.
But anyway, there you go. I've always liked Hanoi Rocks. Of course, they've been very influential on people like Guns N' Roses and, LA Guns and people like that. They always cite Hanoi Rocks as a big influence. Of course, Motley Crue,
sure,
who basically put an end to their career.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
did you see the guy that said that I was way off base calling Vince a murderer?
No, where was this?
On YouTube.
Oh, okay.
That's taking it a bit too far, isn't it? It's like, yeah, is it? Guy got drunk and drugged out of his mind and went driving. Somebody died. It's fucking murder. You killed somebody.
Well, what would he prefer? What verbiage would he prefer?
I don't know. Manslaughterer? I don't know. Unfortunate accident? I don't know what he would have liked me to say, but he murdered Razzle.
He didn't like murder.
I see it that he murdered Razzle.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
You ever notice today, in today's day and age, no one wants to call out things for what they really are?
No, of course not.
Everybody just wants to sugarcoat and soft coat every single thing.
Right, of course.
And it's like, I don't understand why. Is this a way of not holding people to account or holding people's feet to the fire? Or I'm not really sure what era of life we're in, where everything is just like nobody wants to hold anybody accountable for anything except if you're Donald Trump.
We don't want to be mean.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
We got to be nice about it, man. I mean, yes, it's unfortunate that Razzle was unfortunately in that car with Vince, and he was tragically taken down by another motorist that Vince drove out in front of because he was drunk. But you know what? In the end, it's probably the alcohol's fault.
Yeah. Well, and also the other people that were in the other car.
Yeah.
They sustained life-altering injuries as well.
I understand that, dude, but Home Sweet Home, what a great song. So it's okay.
Yeah.
And dude, I loved Looks That Kill, so not guilty.
Right.
Vince is a good guy. He just had an unfortunate day because I liked Keep Your Eye on the Money. Fucking idiots with their, I like their music, so therefore I'll defend them. Fuck you. If he was your neighbor down the street and he did the same thing to a kid on your block, you'd fucking hate him and want him murdered.
Or your kid.
Yeah, or your kid. You'd want him dead. Stop trying to make fucking nice about it because he wrote some goddamn song that you fucked your girlfriend to 35 years ago. Shut up! So stupid.
Well, I know people in the business as well as you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had some correspondence with a couple of people who basically, even to this day, are still, what do you want to call, I'm not going to say surprised isn't the word I'm looking. It's still in disbelief that he only got 10 days.
Yeah, it's just bullshit. It's the price of fame.
Yeah.
Fame gets you out of a lot of shit.
It does.
Which is, here's a question for you, and I don't know if we've ever addressed this before. I know we've said who we don't like on the show before, but have you encountered, and we're not going to say who said any of this, so don't start trying to prompt us to, but have you encountered a name out of the mouth of more people in the business from that era that is more detested than Vince? Because I've never come across a single person that has a good thing to say about Vince.
He really does not have a good reputation among a lot of people.
Yeah. Everybody that I've ever talked to in the business about Vince has been like, he's kind of a dick.
Yeah. We had Vince on the show one time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 2004, I think.
Right, for that
tequila the tequila or whatever.
It had like 2 new songs and a bunch of covers. Or
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You've met him in person.
Yeah, yes,
right?
I have. Not a real pleasant guy.
Not friendly, no.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the things to say about him that I do about Bret Michaels, because that was like direct interaction. But Vince was definitely a very cold fish, when it was really just a, hey man, how you doing type of a thing. And his security guys going, you don't look at Vince when he shut up.
Well, yeah, I've told the story too about, I got a cough here. Yeah. Exactly. I told that story about when Vince was on the, I believe it was the Rock Never Stops tour. He was the headliner. Mm-hmm. And I think it was like Firehouse and Rat, with the jizzy version of Rat. Mm-hmm. And let's see, who was it? Was it? Yeah, I guess it was Firehouse and Rat and Vince Neil and somebody else. I can't remember, but
Slaughter.
Yeah, it probably. Yeah, it was Slaughter. Actually, it was. Yeah, it was Slaughter. You're right, because I talked to Dana Strum that night too. But because I was with the boys, mm-hmm. I had backstage at Nautica Stage, right. And when Vince had to walk from the trailers where they had the dressing rooms to the stage, which was basically 50 feet.
Right.
They had to clear the entire backstage area.
His Highness coming through.
Yeah. They made everybody leave the whole backstage area so he could walk from his trailer to the stage.
Right.
And then, because there was there were a couple of girls there that they were doing the Skylar Neal Foundation. I know I've told this story too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they were really into the whole Crew Fest. In fact, I think they were the first ones to launch the Crew Fest.
Right.
They were
Crew
like
Fest Cleveland was like the original.
Yeah, it was. And the 2 organizers, the 2 girls that organized this thing and really promoted it, I had them on the Classic Metal Show when I was on WSTB. I let them come down and talk about it and promote it. And, just it was for a good cause.
Right.
And part of the whole raising the money thing is that they had a bunch of memorabilia that Vince Neil would sign, to auction off.
Sure.
And they brought all the memorabilia with them to the show for Vince to sign it. Yeah. He wouldn't even give them the time of day. He made his manager, Jack Carson, come out, collect it all, take it in to him. He would sign it, then he brought it all back out.
He allegedly would sign it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but but he couldn't even acknowledge these 2 girls who were out there, organizing this thing on the behalf of the Skylar Neal Foundation.
Yeah. Well, maybe if they'd have showed up at the hospital at the death of the 14-year-old or 4-year-old,
right?
As you saw in the dirt,
right?
Maybe they could have got it signed. That movie.
Yeah, but
he's a dick. Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah, it's just like you couldn't even come out or even let them come in and acknowledge them and say, hey, thanks for all the great work or the hard work or thanks for doing all this or nothing.
Dude, it does take like 2 to 3 minutes to do that.
Yeah,
he's very busy getting on the bus and drinking. He was very busy.
Yeah, so after that, that's when I really lost complete respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not too many good ones in Motley Crue. I mean, I don't really know Mick Mars. Everybody says he's the cool one. I think he's just the cool one because nobody's really talked to him very much. But, the other 3, I've encountered the other 3 and never walked away thinking, all right, that guy was pretty cool.
Well, there you are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enough of the dragging people through the mud.
Okay.
What about your big announcement?
Well, as I've said numerous times, it's not a big announcement. It didn't even say big announcement in the shit that was on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
It just said, Chris has an announcement on 4/6. And, of course, my 2 cohorts are not with me to do this, but I'll talk about it myself. And I will go backwards. What was that? A year and a half when we were not able to play?
Yeah, at least.
A year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was. And the reason, I'm going to just remind people, the reason we were not able to play
licensed music
was because the powers that be, the legal powers that be, kind of shut Uncontrolled Noize down. They made the station go out of business, so we had to do kind of our own thing in order to do the show. And the way we did it was by working out individual agreements with the various labels to play their stuff royalty free, and that's what we did. And it worked out fine. And, I thought the music was quality, personally, but it honestly wasn't the same. And that's not shitting on anybody. We are very appreciative of melodic rock records and Pure Steel and why am I going brain dead here? Shavis and Kivel and all the various labels that let us play their artists. We are certainly appreciative of that. But we knew, as you guys did, that we wanted to be able to play the music that you guys kind of grew up on, we'll say.
Right.
The licensed music.
Yeah, the stuff you're familiar with.
Correct. So I would say a year plus-ish ago, Corey, who owns Uncontrolled Noize, contacted me and told me that there was a change in something with the licensing to where he could do the licensing again. And he was going to go all in. He pushed all his chips in to do Uncontrolled Noize again. And that was very cool. And I think the first person that he contacted was me to see if the CMS would come back on Uncontrolled Noize. And we were, we couldn't say yes fast enough. So what it ended up starting to be was us and Hairball John were the two stalwarts. Us coming back, Hairball John bringing his show back. Now, behind the scenes, and we never talked about it, and I don't even think I talked to you about it until a couple weeks ago, actually. But behind the scenes, there's been a lot of discussion about that Uncontrolled Noize was gonna change a little bit and was gonna become more of a partner deal between Corey and John, Hairball John.
Okay.
And it was going to go that route, focus a little more that direction. And, I mean, we still were going to have a home on it, but it was going to focus a little more in Hairball John's, branded imaging, I guess is the best way to put it. And that was fine for a while, but it dragged on. There was supposed to be a partnership that was supposed to come together, and for business reasons, it didn't. And I'm not going to get into the whole business reason of it, other than to say that Hairball John's radio show took off, like in Michigan, on the terrestrial station that he's at, to where it was not in his best interest to focus full time on Uncontrolled Noize. He had to focus on the business interest because it was all positive. He won the award of Michigan of the best specialty show in Michigan or something.
So he's currently broadcasting on terrestrial radio.
Correct, as well as Uncontrolled Noize, but his focus was Uncontrolled Noize, or was the terrestrial side. So he didn't have the time to do what needed to be done with Uncontrolled Noize.
Okay.
So this went on, and Corey's been following up with me constantly about, another month, another 2 months, another 6 months, another 3 months. It's been this steady thing to where I finally said to Corey, I said, why don't I get involved with this? And, and basically the point was we're gonna keep waiting for John's business to kind of slow down to where he can do Uncontrolled Noize, to the point that Uncontrolled Noize goes out of business again because there's no money being generated.
Right.
So that's where I decided to step in, and Corey and I had some discussions, and the big reveal is that I have kind of joined in and am taking a large piece of the branding, I guess, of Uncontrolled Noize. I'm jumping in more as like a partner to Uncontrolled Noize with John and with Corey, and I'm going to be able to take that and use that as a not only a mouthpiece for the station, but a mouthpiece for the show itself.
Okay.
We're gonna definitely image it a little bit. With me at the helm, you know what it's going to be imaged for. A little more harder edged,
right?
A little more us, I guess. And we're making some changes to the station as a result. I don't know if people have seen it or not, but a new website launched this week. I built a website for it and put it up, and it's up there. We're still tweaking a little tiny bit, but we're up there. That's one change that we made. Another change that I personally basically orchestrated was bringing Ron Keel onto the station. So Streets of Rock and Roll is on that station. I'm going to take over, or not take over, but grab a bunch of the social media and do a lot of the social media marketing to hopefully launch the station that direction. And I'm building out an advertising portal so that there can be some advertising to generate money to pay these royalties on the station. And so there's a lot of things. It's sort of transparent. It's not like it's going to become CMS radio. It's not. I've probably spent 500 hours in the last 6 months listening to Uncontrolled Noize just to get a good feel for it. And I dig what Corey's doing musically with it. And I dig the basic framework and the branding and everything to it. But I'm going to add my spin to it, my business spin to it, to make it a more profitable thing, and B, the other piece that I did immediately was built him a website that works really well on mobile.
Okay.
Because it needs to be, in my head, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong on this, Neely, because you obviously get a say in this too, but it's important in 2019 that there is a way to make the station work perfectly on a fucking phone.
Yeah, well, I use my phone in my car. Right. Not for talking mostly, but for listening to stuff. Mm-hmm. Whether it's podcast or Spotify or anything, because I had satellite radio that came with the car, but when it expired in November, I didn't re-up because there's really nothing on satellite that isn't online. In fact, what's online is much better than what's on satellite radio.
Exactly.
And so I use my phone, which Bluetooths to my car, and listen to all my stuff that way. So, of course, it's got to be that way in 2019 because I know I'm not the only one who does that.
Right. And I do that. I don't even push the buttons to hear regular radio anymore. My car, when I turn my car on, when it's not falling apart from the damage I did on Thursday.
Right.
But when I turn my car on, the first thing it does is connects to Bluetooth. It doesn't go to radio where I even flip to Bluetooth.
Yeah, well, mine does the same thing.
And I literally will sit until I hear something start playing on my phone. And then once I hear something play on my phone, that's when I can engage that fucker into reverse and pull out of my driveway.
Right.
So that is basically the big announcement, is that we're officially rebranding and relaunching the Uncontrolled Noize with some CMS flavor to it, mainly me, in an attempt to make the station a little stronger so that it can last longer, so we can play more of the music we want to. There is some talk, I haven't fleshed it all out yet, but of returning the interview show. I get that question all the time. Why do we keep doing the interviews and saying that was this song and what's your favorite tune to take us out of this interview with? That's why. because there is talk about doing an interview show, bringing that back. So a lot of stuff going on, man, with the station. But overall, the station is going to be much more of a hub, for listening to the CMS. I mean, you'll always have the 24/7 stream from us as well. But I personally am going to kind of start asking and focusing people when they listen to the live show to listen on Uncontrolled Noize.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's that.
All right.
That's all it was. It was not... See, I didn't quit the show. I didn't come out as a transgender. I'm not a they.
Right.
I didn't do any of that shit. I'm not having a baby. I look it, but I'm not having one. None of those things. Just I've stepped up my involvement with Uncontrolled Noize. So that's that.
Okay. Well, Uncontrolled Noize have been very, very good to the CMS over the last decade or so. Mm-hmm. And they Corey's a good guy, and that's his passion.
Sure.
And he's a stalwart, and he puts his money where his mouth is, because I know that one of the things that drove Uncontrolled Noize off the air, as it were, was mm-hmm. the astronomical fees,
right, for
the licensing. I know it was going to cost him upwards to $7,000 a year or more.
Exactly.
To have licensing. That's a chunk of change.
It's a big bite, and then you got server fees and bandwidth and all that other shit that comes with it. There's a lot of fees to it, but the one thing that was missing previously, he was doing all that stuff and paying it, but he didn't have anything built into place to recoup any of it.
Right, of course, he didn't have a revenue stream.
Yeah, so we're going to start building in some revenue streams, and no, it's not going to turn into some shitty commercial radio thing. But and I'll say openly, while I hated the experience of having an ad guy, it just wasn't for me. I like David. Again, I do not want this to sound the wrong way. I like David Ortiz a bunch. I have nothing bad to say about David, but I didn't like that experience.
It wasn't a fit for us.
Exactly. But it is a fit for a radio station. But not necessarily the way David was wanting to do it, though. A lot of the ideas that you and I talked about, when I was getting frustrated with the way that was going,
yeah,
I'm going to incorporate into this, the social media and the social media advertising and the, tagging front ends and back ends of shows and stuff like that. Things that make sense, tagging front ends and back ends of maybe like highlight moments or podcasts or whatever that are all going to end up on the station. All that stuff is going to happen to help the station pay for the station so that you can keep having it, because unfortunately your fucking cocksucking fucking government keeps wanting to screw the little guy and not fucking screw the big man. So, we have to find ways to make it work, unless you want us to go back to playing, undiscovered shit. If you don't like us playing Metal Church and Metallica and Rat and Dokken and LA Guns or whatever, then don't support, I guess. But if you like us playing that music, the way we get to play it is because Corey fucking writes a fat check every 3 months or 6 months, whatever it is. So when you hear this shit, at least fucking listen or click. Even if you're not going to buy anything, for fuck's sake, click on the ad.
Yeah.
It's on Uncontrolled Noize. Just click on it, because that still shows the fucking ad company that people heard it.
Right.
That's all you need. Don't be a douche.
Well, it's getting more and more apparent that your people are going to have to go independently, because a lot of the people who are independent broadcasters or creators or whatnot, they relied on YouTube,
right?
Which basically, when it launched over a decade ago, it's YouTube,
right.
But this is about you, the user.
Right.
The guy or girl who creates stuff, you could put your stuff up here on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Well, YouTube and the creators have become a very powerful force in drawing the audience away from the mainstream media outlets And money speaks, and the mainstream is not happy that people are migrating away from them.
Right.
So they're putting pressure on, companies like Google, who owns YouTube, to scale these people back.
Right.
Because they're too popular. And the thing is just like, well, you're having a lot of success, but because you're not the mainstream guy, we're going to do what we can to cut your feet out from under you.
Right.
Well, periodically I feature this Sticks and Hammer on the show.
Right.
And he made a pretty good point on a recent upload. I think he did this yesterday.
Okay.
No, actually did it this morning. About YouTube and how they're basically scaling back content creators that they're trying to basically bury them. And there's no reason for it.
No.
Aside from people, in the mainstream, be it CNN or MSNBC or, some of the bigger broadcasting companies who are losing revenue and losing market share due to the independents who are going, you know what? Don't listen to those guys. They're not telling you the truth. They're agenda driven. They don't do their research. They're not journalists. It's hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump 24 hours a day.
Sure.
There's more going on in the world than just hate Trump.
Right.
And they'll bring it to you. And they'll do some political analysis, social commentary, various things. And I keep up on that. I like to watch various creators, whether it's Tim Pool or this Sticks and Hammer or Jericho or any one of these guys, Mark Dice. All these guys have literally thousands and thousands of followers.
Right.
Who have basically left the mainstream. And Sticks and Hammer put up a video, it's not very long, this morning, to talk about how YouTube is basically throttling back these guys and trying to bury them.
Right.
So let's listen to what he's got to say. So this is kind of dovetails into what you were just talking about creating uncontrolled noise to have an outlet that isn't controlled by anybody but us. Or you, or Corey, or whomever is involved.
Exactly.
All right, here we go.
All right, everyone, it's time to talk about YouTube's now fairly obvious algorithmic manipulation that's going on. It's definitely affected my channel, although it seems to have affected some people more. I have a feeling that what YouTube has done is install some sort of system that actually goes through the videos and demotes them according to bad language and things like that. I have a feeling that that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, we wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah. No, dude, it's weird. They remonetized us. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, but you just said, fuck it, I'm not even going to bother with it.
It does it automatically.
Oh,
now.
Really? Okay.
And I almost wonder if they're doing it to fucking suspend us again.
I have no idea.
Because I didn't do it, and I don't touch it. I know we're on the chopping block eventually. I know we're still probably too small with only, what do we have, 5,000 subscribers or whatever it is.
Yeah, these guys have 50 and 100,000 subscribers, so they're big players.
Hundreds of millions of views, where we have 3 million or 2 million or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I do with YouTube now is I cut little clips, 3, 5, 8 minute clips, just funny shit. Put it on YouTube, and then link it back to the Daily Motion stuff, so that if people want to see the whole segment, they can see it on Daily Motion.
Right.
Because I'm not going to, if we do our full length videos, Daily Motion or YouTube's going to kill us.
Of course.
So I'll just do stuff where I don't say faggot or cunt or whatever, and YouTube can't do dick about it.
Right. Okay.
So
here we go.
all right.
I've been doing a little bit of testing to try to see if that's the fact. It appears to be so. Although it could just be routine changes to their algorithms. Here's the problem. For example, for a while there, if you made multiple uploads a day, the first video that you uploaded would get sent out mostly to people. The notification system more or less worked. It would get more attention. and then like it would peter out after the second video, and each subsequent video, fewer people would say they got notified and stuff like that, unless it was a totally tame video and you did it hours later. Like, I don't know how long it takes to reset. I assumed 24 hours. It might be 12. But here, then it flipped, and it became the last video that would get shared out more. And I don't know exactly why this happened, but it seemed that for several weeks there, the final video that you would put on in a day would get shared out to more people. Like, there was a delay. Like, people wouldn't get notified at first. I think that what they were testing is a system where you upload and then people get notified like an hour later. Like, I'm assuming is a feature to check for bad content or something, to try to restrict the flow of like spam and porn and stuff like that on site, which makes sense. And I think they've reversed it now and they've put it back the same way. There are definitely major changes to search. There have been glitches lately, like YouTube has had buffering issues for the first time in 5 or 6 years sporadically, and each time this happens, it seems some change is made to the site. For instance, when you search for current events of any kind, any sort of significant news, you no longer see somebody like me on the front page unless you are deliberately searching for me. Instead, you see a bunch of priority creator results, CNN, Fox News, things like that.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So people with millions of views, like this guy or Mark Dice or any one of them, they're being buried.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so, you know, again, it's just like, well, you know, we're not censoring anybody. Everybody's you know, got the freedom to do what they want to do as long as they stay within our terms of service. But in reality, they're just like, they're tamping everybody down.
Right. No, they are, and I mean, like I said, I see it. We've seen it on our channel. I mean, we get a lot of people that find us on YouTube, but our channel, I mean, we got demonetized for nothing. We never had a copy. We still don't have a copyright strike against us. We've never had a copyright strike. We've never had a community strike against us ever. Well, I take that back. Didn't we have a copyright strike back in the Talking Metal? Oh, no, that was iTunes.
Yeah, that was iTunes.
Metal.
Yeah.
Talking Metal. But we've never on YouTube ever had any kind of account problem, and yet they still demonetized us or suspended us for a month or whatever it was. You know, I didn't bother to investigate it. And you know, I'm going to leave YouTube as what it is. People can discover the show with YouTube, but if they want to see the in motion videos that tend to get flagged a lot faster than the still videos, you know, the one, what do they call those, one frame videos?
Yeah, single frame
videos.
Right.
You know, those don't seem to get snagged as much as the, you know, the in studio cam videos.
Yeah, the live action videos.
Yeah. So I'll just leave the live action videos alone. I'll leave those for, you know, if you're really somebody that wants to listen to see me and Neely sitting here fucking drinking drinks and doing the show, well, then you can go to Dailymotion or BitChute or eventually Pornhub. Those are the three. And that idea, somebody just asked me about it in the chat room. That idea has not gone away. It's just my Achilles has slowed things down.
Right.
Quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, YouTube stinks, man. It's a net. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, they're a necessary evil for us.
Right.
We're going to use them until they tell us we can't. You know, but we're way into the building stage of alternate media, you know, of using different things. I'm already setting up secondary and third level accounts for when this shit gets all suspended.
Right.
So that I could still, you know, if they want to suspend the CMS channel, there'll be a backup CMS channel somewhere.
Right.
You know, it'll be there and that won't be suspended.
There you go.
Immediately.
Sure. All right, here we go.
That's one way of throttling people in the alt media, which I think is totally goes against what YouTube was founded for in the first place. It doesn't really make sense because that content gets less engagement anyway. It is simply less efficient. Yes, we independent creators are more efficient, more interesting, and get far higher engagement totals than CNN. or than Fox News. As far as subscriber to subscriber, the engagement level's probably 2 or 3 times what they're getting. I don't know why they're being favored other than to try to appease them to keep them from making too many hit pieces about content on YouTube. It's basically an appeasement. Well, I think appeasement is always a bad idea because you always end up giving more and more until you can't give anything more, and then you get thrown out with the garbage, basically. That's the way YouTube, unfortunately, has decided to head. Now, before people say, well, Sticks, you're just getting boring and so you're getting less engagement, I can look at my analytics on literally any other site, and that's not the case. Still growing the same way. Everything's still operating exactly as before on every other site. That includes, like, Daily Motion and shit. Daily, or a DTube, which I've stopped using. I've stopped uploading to it anyway. Book sales, the flow of material on Minds or Gab, it's all exactly the same as before. The engagement on my blogs. The only exception is YouTube. It's literally the only site on which there's been a slowdown, and it came at a certain exact time when there were a bunch of glitches on YouTube. It looked like, the analytics-wise, it looked like view counts and things were getting a little bit wonky, and I'm not the only person that noticed this change, so I'm going to assume that I'm right when I suspect this.
This goes back to, what we've discussed here on the show before. Yeah, YouTube, Google is a private company, and they don't owe you anything, but because they are in the, the public square category now, right. If you don't think censorship is a real thing,
it is.
It is.
Mm-hmm. No, it's, dude, it is, and I mean, it's funny because I hear guys like Sticks, ranting and raving about it. And Sticks is about the only one that rants and raves about it, but actually does something about it.
Well, that's his whole job, though. That's what he does all day.
But he's pretty good at finding the other outlets, too. The Daily Motions, the BitChutes, he uses Minds, he uses Gab, he uses Dissenter, he uses all the avenues. And it really is, it's really not a case anymore where it's either do it my way or don't do it. Believe it or not, even though the big boys are fighting the little guys like us, there's ways to combat it. And I know, like, I'll give you one example. I bought a new program this week for, I don't know what it was, $250 a year or something for scheduling. It's a post scheduling program to schedule Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and blah, 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 all that shit. And I bought it with the CMS fully. I'm going to use it for other things, but I'm definitely going to use it for the CMS. And what I'm going to do with it, the nice feature about it is that you can do recurring posts. And while that sounds kind of boring, who wants to see the same post again in 3 months or whatever? The fact is that with the algorithms, the way that YouTube has things these days, only 20% at most are going to see your content anyway. So on a show like ours that does not have to be in the, the date doesn't really date it. You can listen to a segment of us from 10 years ago and still find it funny.
Yeah, sure.
For us, it makes sense that I would take our content and reframe it and reshare it every 3 months, and just keep resharing every 3 months, every 3 months, every 3 months. And I'll spin new people and new audience that YouTube has kind of fucked us out of, now with their algorithms. Their algorithm now is going to show that content as being shown to this collection of people. But 3 months from now, you're going to get a new collection of people that are going to get alerted to it. Some will be repeat, but a lot of it will be new. So it's one of those things now. The guys that make content in the now for the minute are going to really have trouble. But guys like us that make kind of universally listenable content, we have a much better advantage if we take our time and do it right and invest a little money. Like I said, I dropped $250 or whatever it was on this program today or yesterday, just because I think it'll help the show grow. And that needs to happen. We can never be complacent.
Right.
We as a show, me and you, can never say, well, the mics are on, therefore it is what it is, and people are going to listen to us. We always have to be saying, Well, how can we reach the people that we're getting fucked out of reaching? And that's, remember earlier in the show when I was saying that some of this stuff is tiring?
Yeah, sure it is.
It's because I have to fucking contemplate this shit all the goddamn time.
Right.
And think about it and reach people with Reddit. We didn't need a Reddit page, but that reaches an audience that YouTube or Facebook is sheltering us from right now. So it needs to be there. BitChute, Gab, they reach audiences that YouTube doesn't reach for us anymore. So we have to reach to those people. It's a never-ending circle that has to be consistently worked. And I believe it. I could be dead wrong on this, but I believe in the end, by doing it this way, we will end up surviving this fucking censorship wave, at least for a long time.
Right.
Because they're never going to completely shut us down. Because we don't fight them. We just are like, yeah, fuck you. You want to not share with us? All right, well, try again in 3 months.
Right.
Let's see how many times we can try before you catch us.
We will not be denied.
That's it. That's really what it comes down to. I'm just like, okay, well, you might catch us right now, but let's see if you can catch me again in 3 months. Let's see if your filter is that fucking strong to keep catching us and keep censoring us. And we'll see what happens.
Sure.
Might work, might not.
Okay.
It's unfortunate, really, because YouTube, think about the U in YouTube, it doesn't refer to some corporate entity, some fucking corporate brand or anything like that. Originally, YouTube was literally just private individuals. There was no profit motive at all, and then money started coming in, and I suppose things changed a little bit. And that's why, as always, I have links in the description to this and every other video to all sorts of other sites that I use. If you're not following me on one or more of them, you're not getting regular notifications at this point. That's why I have a fucking Twitter account. I wouldn't have even made one in the first place. I stopped posting quite as much there. It's sort of wearing off in its usefulness. But I did that initially as a notification machine. That's why there was a Facebook group. I'm thinking about the possibility of having to get like an Instagram or something. Like, literally, content creation is becoming more competitive. It's becoming more centralized. And therefore, in order to fight back against that, you have to diversify yourself into more types of content and simply do more. Now, thankfully, that's all entertaining stuff. Like, I have a problem with it when people complain too much. Like, I'm complaining about algorithmic manipulation, but I'm not complaining about, like, oh, it's so much work to make YouTube videos. No, not really. Tim Pool does have it right, though. There is a little bit of a frenetic lifestyle associated with being a content creator. He's like, well, what it is, posts say, like, if you want to become a YouTube star, just don't sleep, work 16 hours a day, and be, like, crazy and stuff.
Right, Chris?
Yeah, exactly. But everything he's saying is everything that, think about it, everything that he is saying are changes that I made personally in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought
that, I sent you over the text, and I keep sending you over text. Here, change the text on the Spreaker to this. With all these, how many links do we have on Spreaker now? 100?
Yeah.
Here's the links to all of our fucking social media shit. Here's the links to all of our shit.
Yeah, but
podcasts.
But it's guys like this and every other creator out there. They have to stay ahead of the game because the game keeps changing almost on a weekly basis.
It does. It absolutely does.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And he makes more videos than I do. There aren't many people that make multiple videos a day, by the way. That sort of non-live format is less common over time, and I think takes, ironically, possibly more skill. To do that unscripted especially, like I know he probably has notes up, but he's not using a teleprompter or anything, and we're sitting there talking for 30, 40 minutes every single day, day in and day out.
Or 6 hours on a Saturday.
Which equals out to what he's saying, about an hour a day.
Yeah, which is not scripted.
No. It's just our rambling bullshit.
That's it.
And then we get, algorithmically manipulated on these sites. Like, definitely you should follow my work on BitChute. It just makes sense. And if you're not using some combination of Twitter or Gab/Dissenter, mine certainly, you're not getting the full story from anyone that you're following. I don't know why there are still content creators that don't use all of these sites. It's like, some of these people, they have people that manage their content for them. Well, then pile on a couple of alt tech sites and give them an extra $1 an hour or something. It'll pay off long term. Get your own website going. Yeah.
There you go. Uncontrolled Noize.
Yeah, there it is.
Get your own website going.
Dude, I've been working really hard. Even take Uncontrolled Noize out of it for a minute. I've put a lot of time in the last 6 months onto the Classic Metal Show
Yeah, I
website.
noticed that. I noticed you changed some stuff up here recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to get more centralized. If people want a central hub, we got away from it for a little bit, and that's my fault. I mean, anything that happens with the site is my fault, because really, you and I don't think since the first one that I ever built for you, you've ever said, "Hey, I wish you would change this."
Yeah.
You're just like, "Hey, fuck, it looks good, go."
Yeah.
But I have been changing the site to make it easier and better and more user friendly and more mobile friendly. I really have been trying to make it more mobile friendly, because that's the way of today. Is it has to work on the phone. It has to be perfect on the phone. And with the kind of content that we're doing now, I think the video has to be perfect on the phone. It can't just be listening live. It has to be the video, and it has to be the segments, and it has to be, easy to manipulate and find what you want to do. And, and it's for the reasons that Styx is saying here, is that if it's not easy, then people won't do it. He's saying himself, if he can't figure out why people would leave anything out, basically saying, if you don't make it easy for anybody that might be interested, they're not going to look too hard to find it. That's the way of today.
It is.
You got to make it simple.
Yep.
And be a little bit difficult for those that are more low tech. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, I'm going to have no choice but to have a smartphone soon anyway for business reasons. So what the hell? Why not have an Instagram page? I know I can take pictures of my shitty plants or something like that. It's like it's no longer just being, sadly, it's no longer just being a YouTuber at this point. And YouTube's doing its best to try to appease a bunch of corporations, a bunch of morons that hate YouTube and ridiculed it for years and fought against them. Finally, they're like, okay, they throw their hands up, but we want a seat at the table. We will make or break you. We'll defame you out of existence by saying that there's a non-existent problem with extremism on your platform. We'll get you investigated by the government. And again, like I've said, the fear is always worse than the thing to be feared. So YouTube should keep that in mind. Basically, it's like an elephant being frightened of a mouse. YouTube could fucking stomp these people out of existence. Just mobilize your content creators. Say, look, we're being harassed constantly by people who say that this is a platform of extremism. Do hashtag happy YouTube and make a video about how they're full of shit. Why don't you do something like that? It could work. 1 million people would do it. Yeah, that'd get in the news. And then they'd try to fight back against it, and they'd have a fucking army of fucking everyone under the sun on YouTube. Liberalists and clankers and the Sweetie Squad and everything else. It'd be a huge dumpster fire. And they would lose. Be funny. YouTube should kick CNN off its platform. No, you spread propaganda, so we're just going to kick you off. No more BBC. Fuck off. You're going to make copyright complaints against creators and shit. Get off the platform then. That's about all.
Well, that'll get demonetized.
Yeah.
All that bad language.
Of course. Dude, I've long thought about doing like a daily, like, quick thing. Man, that's it. I tried it. Remember I tried it like 6 months ago or something?
Yeah.
Where I was posting and it was literally like a minute or two. That was a real pain in the ass. I mean, it was really a pain in the ass to do it right. I mean, he just tends to throw on he's such a good speaker, and that I'll give him. He's much better at it than I am.
Right.
But he's such a good speaker to just turn on his camera and go and be focused, where I tend to just kind of ramble until I find what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I wish I could just kind of turn on my camera 3-4 times a day and upload something real fast. But the dork in me is like, okay, now I got this video. I better put a header on it. I better put a close on it. I better upload it in 1080p, so, because people need the clarity when they see my ugliness. It's like it turns into a whole thing instead of just fucking doing what this guy does, which is just camera on, talk for a minute, camera off. But he's right, though, when he talks about doing it every day, too. Look at the difference in our show when I came back to the show and changed it. Remember? And everybody bitched. Remember all the people that bitched and moaned when I changed it from all of the podcasts being available on Monday?
Yeah.
To
spreading it out through the week.
Day?
Yeah.
Yeah. remember all the complaints and chat room and emails and everything just saying, you guys are fucking ruining the show, man.
Yeah.
I want that content all at once. And now we get how many emails a week or tweets or texts or whatever.
It's like I look forward to the next segment every day.
Yeah. You guys are my drive into work, and this week sucked because you weren't there. You know, it's like, goddamn, we completely changed for the positive, but and the show took off as a result of it.
Yeah, of course, because we give people like little bites.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I try to keep the segments about 40 minutes to an hour at the longest.
Yeah.
Because if it's any longer than an hour, then people lose interest.
Well, and it's, let's just be honest, it's longer than their commute.
It is.
That's really what it comes down to, is people like, the audience that likes us the best, in my opinion / watching the insights and the analytics of our show. The people that like us the best are the ones that listen, that have a commute of about 30 to 40 minutes every morning.
Right.
They listen to 30 minutes in the car going and 30 minutes coming back, which is basically 1 hour of the show 5 days a week. We do 5 hours of content and 1 hour of music. That's pretty much what we do.
Right.
And those people fucking listen to us. We've become their morning show. We're their Howard Stern.
Yeah, we're the morning drive show, man.
We're Bob and Tom, man. We're Rover. Let's not be that. But yeah, I mean that we really have become that on an independent, small scale for quite a few people.
Right.
It surprises me how many people listen in the car. You know, dude, I get a text usually about 1:30 in the morning on Saturday night, Sunday morning while we're doing the show.
Okay.
And it's John, because John he plays his gigs, you know, in Lima or Dayton or wherever the fuck he plays his shows at, you know, wherever his band is, which is usually Lima. But he'll just text me and he'll be like, usually it's just a comment about whatever we're talking about or whatever.
All right.
But it's because he's commuting.
Yeah.
He's commuting, and part of his commute is that he just turns on his fucking phone and throws it through his Bluetooth.
Which is what I do.
And we talk him home. We keep him awake till he gets home at 3, 4 in the morning, whatever time it is. You know, same shit. It's a good thing, man.
It is, but you know, just for the CMS fans who are listening to this, and I don't want to bore everybody, but you know, there's a lot of thought and work that goes into you know, giving you content every week.
Oh yeah, believe me, the show is never off.
Yeah,
I honestly think the show is really never to a screeching halt. Neither one of us, I know you're because you're not on social media and I am, the fans tend to think that you're Saturday guy and I'm everyday guy. That's not the case. You and I talk or email at least every day. Yes?
Yeah, mostly email. Maybe we talk maybe once a week.
Text.
Yeah,
but we email or text, or we either talk, mail, or text show-related stuff, I would say minimum 5 days a week.
Right.
Whether it's, let's do a guest, or can you do an interview at this time, or I'm doing this interview at this time. Do you have any questions for this guy? You know, I had this conversation with this guy about doing this, and, you know, whatever it is. You know, the show never truly ends for us. It never, there's never, you know, my foot may have been fucking hurting last week, but it was nice to just be away. You know, it was nice to be away for a full week where I really wasn't doing anything promoting the show.
Right.
Even with that, I just told you I bought a new product to help better promote the show. So it was still in my mindset somewhat. It's just the nature of the beast, man. to be the best, you got to do more than the rest, I guess.
Sure. All right. Well, that's what's going on with Uncontrolled Noize and what's going on with the show, and the things that have to be facilitated in order to allow you to have access to the show.
Right.
And it just goes on and on. But
sure. I do want to say real quick before we jump.
Yeah.
I do say though real quick about Uncontrolled Noize. Please use your phones. Go to uncontrollednoise.com. Use that to listen. Much like I did with the CMS, we're not going to buy an app. I'm going to tell you that up front. I'm not going to build one. It costs too much in hours to build. I've made the website absolutely 100% mobile friendly. I will be putting out videos within the next 2 weeks because I don't know when I'm going to see somebody with an Android that I can steal for an hour. But I'm going to make videos like I did for the CMS on how to add Uncontrolled Noize to your phone so that it acts like an app and it's an icon on your phone and whatnot. And I'll be doing the iPhone this week and then an Android the next week. So look for those videos. And, for those of you that forget us, forget the CMS for a minute. If during the day you just want to hear classic metal, but you don't want to just pick a band, which a lot of people do. They like to just throw shit on shuffle and go. I'm not telling you you'll like it more or hate it more or whatever. I'm just saying try Uncontrolled Noize because the music is kind of in our wheelhouse. It stretches a little past what we would do here on the show, but it is in this wheelhouse of music. So by all means, check it out and then cancel your fucking Sirius XM and give us your $12 a month.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. That's all I got to say.
And Uncontrolled Noize also features our friend and DJ, another internet DJ, Kendall Peters, on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, and you and I are more frequent guests than I think either one of us ever thought we'd be.
Yeah, we just have a lot of fun with that. She plays a whole variety of stuff. I mean, she played Frida for Christ's sake this week.
Yeah. I was going to say, I took over on requests this week. I had like 5 requests.
She played Something's Going On with Phil Collins on drums and Frida from ABBA.
Yeah.
She played that on her show this week. And yeah, she takes your requests and stuff. So she's one of the feature shows on Uncontrolled Noize on Wednesday nights.
Dude, isn't it fun when we're just dicking around in her chat room? And I guess I'll call it hearing her youth, I guess. Like she had never heard that song before.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even after the show was over, she and I were texting back and forth about music that she was not familiar with, but she's learning by. And I made the joke. I said, that's what you get for hanging out with a bunch of old dudes.
Exactly. But isn't that funny for us? That song was beat to death on the radio.
It was.
I mean, that song in 1983, 4, whenever that was.
83, I think.
Yeah, whatever that was. That song was everywhere.
It was.
ABBA was huge. And whatchamacallit, Phil Collins was huge.
Yeah, he was on a upward trajectory at that point because he, obviously Genesis had hit their pop stride. They broke away from being a jam band and being eclectic and became more radio friendly. And then
and he also had the success of
Face Value
tonight.
Yeah, Face Value.
Yeah.
And then his follow up with Hello, I Must Be Going.
Right.
So he was kind of the it guy.
Yeah.
Both vocally and in drumming. So, he was working with what was that the guy from Earth, Wind and Fire, Philip Bailey?
Philip Bailey, Easy Lover.
Yeah. He worked with Philip Bailey and he worked with Frida and I think he did work with Eric Clapton.
Sure.
He was just sort of the guy that everybody wanted to work with at that point.
Worked with Led Zeppelin.
That's true. Yeah, he did. He did Live 8. 86, was it 86?
85,
85?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was the Led Zeppelin drummer on Live 8.
That's true.
Yeah, Yeah, Phil was the man there for a minute. That's for sure. But isn't it funny? You know, I said Frida in the chat room, and a bunch of people were like, never heard of him. Never heard of them. Didn't know who it was, had never heard of them or whatever. And it just to me is funny. It's like, my God, that was so ingrained into our life at that moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's been forgotten by the next generations. It's crazy.
It is. All right. Well, since we're talking about music and whatnot, Doug Aldridge, fantastic guitarist, nice guy.
Sure.
We recently had him on one of the interview shows. He has his band Burning Rain, which I'm a huge fan of. I've got all the Burning Rain, just a good in-your-face, hard, heavy rock. And Doug shows off his guitar prowess. Just a great band, great guy. They got a new CD out, just called Face the Music.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're doing here. So I'm going to play the title track from this new Burning Rain disc, and we're going to have Joe Cleon come on up and talk a little bit about a charity fundraiser deal that he's got going on.
That's right.
All right, so here's some Doug Aldridge and Burning Rain with Face the Music exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.
Hey, this is Doug Aldrich of Burning Rain, and you're tuned into the Classic Metal Show, the most kick-ass, hardest rockin' show on the dial.